So Disco Elysium, the final cut. So a game that we have spoken about and sort of actually said that, a few of us might pick up, given that they're voicing the characters and doing a whole host of work, has been refused classification in Australia. So you cannot buy the physical version in Australia, in Australian stores. It is not even rated. It is effectively...
Yes, sorry, children.
Been refused classification. So weirdly enough, just for the context in Australia, because Australia does have a lot of issues in the past with this. Left 4 Dead 2 is a famous example. Stick of Truth. And I experienced this actually just bizarrely. I was playing Stick of Truth and then the whole scene just stopped and had like a really sad koala.
To be fair though, that was actually funnier.
That was very funny what they did. Yeah. It was very funny what they did. But, a weird quirk in Australia is that games sold on Steam don't need to be classified in Australia if they're not physical. So you can actually get the final cut on Steam in Australia legitimately. That's fine.
How is that a thing?
I don't know. I don't know
how
the
did they
context
get away
of
with
it.
that? And
I just know.
Hang on, no, wait,
is
that legit? I don't know. Does it though? Because I couldn't get Hotline Miami 2 on Steam. It doesn't exist in the library.
Really?
Yeah. Because I played number 1, I could not get number 2.
Even today.
I'll open up Steam right now and I'll look for it. I'm pretty sure you can't get.
So I might be wrong. That's what I understood it to work.
Hotline Miami. There you go. Oh.
Yeah,
nope.
and
no,
probably
it's not there. It doesn't exist.
Probably just for like our international listeners. So with Australia as well, anytime that there's drug use in a positive fashion in a game, so you inject adrenaline even to have some positive impact, like they don't even allow you to that's not even a rating. Like they just say it's refused classification, so they will not rate it because
it's so
it can't be a R rating or to be fair, it's consistent to their rules. It just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense because so to explain to people that are overseas, from my understanding, if you have morphine, for example, and it's referred to as morphine in the game, and that morphine gives you some sort of benefit, banned.
Yeah,
they just refuse classification, can't have it. But if it's exactly the same thing, but you call it Morpheus-phene or something that's not actually morphine.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that one wouldn't fly.
Juju juice,
for example. Literally, that's you went through the game code and you just go find and replace morphine with juju juice. Perfectly fine.
Well, that's what happened with Fallout 3.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But see, that's the ridiculous part because what is it? Is it? Are they afraid that people are going to play? By the way, people, as in we still have an R18 rating, right? So it's still adults.
But it's not a part. It's not a part of that rating scheme to show that.
Yeah,
that's the weird thing in Australia.
What I'm trying to get to is we have a rating system that already classifies age groups, and I think that's quite important because there's no denying that a 7-year-old won't make the same kind of decisions as an 18-year-old. So what I think is really crazy that as an 18-year-old, you are not allowed to experience these things because for whatever reason, we think that maybe you'll be, I don't know, driven to start using morphine. It's ridiculous when you have alcohol ads on TV nonstop, when tobacco is freely available to you to purchase when you're 18. It's just, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever that they do stuff like that.
No, I don't disagree. Yeah, so I just checked it. Disco Elysium, because Disco Elysium, if it got rated in Australia, it would have been banned already. But the fact that they're trying to release it on consoles and have physical versions of it, it therefore is rated. Does that make sense? So it makes sense. I think the Final Cut version may not be able to go on sale on Steam as well, actually.
I don't think it will. Yeah. But here's my... But
it's bizarre because Disco Elysium would be banned in Australia, but you can currently buy it on Steam.
Yeah,
because they haven't added anything. They haven't added anything into the game that wouldn't have already been banned.
Correct. Yeah, but what I think I'm a little confused about what will happen is this going to be a completely separate SKU or is it going to be an upgrade?
No, it's going to be a different SKU.
I heard that, but you can get the free upgrade from what I heard.
Oh, really? Oh.
I heard you can. So I will look that up right now. While I think, Swinny, you were going to say something.
No, it does say that. It does say free upgrade.
Pretty sure you can get a free upgrade.
Shit.
Does that mean how that works?
Taken off sale?
Well, I assume... well, no, I just assume you don't get that free upgrade.
Damn.
So, yeah, I don't know how they'll deal with
especially as a small developer, they're not going to be able to spend the time to do separate upgrade functionality just for the Australian people, so I think that at this point, like, we need to be prepared for Disco Elysium to be removed off sale, for Australia.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually going to be completely removed. But then again, Hotline Miami 1 didn't get removed when Hotline Miami 2 got refused classification.
Yeah, but there's a big difference. You can kind of see
it's different, but you can see the parallels where how they could have easily gone. Anyway, it's such a huge topic. I think we need to dedicate a whole.
Let me clarify that one. The reason was because Hotline Miami 2 included a depiction of rape in it.
Yes.
That was the specific reason that, from my understanding, Hotline Miami 1 didn't. So what I was actually going to mention before is that there are situations that I'm all for games not being rated, whether it's Australia or not, right? There's games like Hatred is a pure example. I had to look up the name. I'm like, what is that bloody name?
I can't remember.
Which was a mass murderer game that was just really grim and dark. And to me, there's just no place for games with that tone and stuff, in my opinion. But when you're talking games, like I'm clarify, I'm not for this decision whatsoever, or many of the decisions that the Classification Board in Australia has made in the past, especially Left 4 Dead 2 being the most ridiculous one.
Yeah, that was super ridiculous.
But one thing is, I'm just glad we don't live in Germany, because they've got a way worse than us.
Way worse, yeah.
Way worse than
they've
us.
gone bonkers in the sense that because of what's happened in the past, obviously.
Yeah.
The pendulum has swung so far the other way that they've banned so many of those things.
But I kind of understand, like, they've got history there, obviously, and
they've got a history. But what are they worried about repeating history or something?
No, 100%
exactly
they are. 100% they are.
Just
literally
just jump, like, whenever you get a chance, jump on. There's a Wikipedia article, list of banned video games, and you go to the Germany section.
My Little Pony,
and it's like, oh my god, there's so many games. Now I don't know if they're all. Also, Wikipedia may include outdated information, but it's still crazy.
See, here's the crazy part, right? So I lived in Germany when I was a kid, and I remember going into an adult shop with my uncle when I was like 7, and they didn't give a shit. Like, and the hardcore pornography that they have in Germany, they're known. Like, when you go, when you talk about,
we're on the podcast.
I know. I'm not going to go into the details, but there's a thing on the internet that's like, wow, it's German porn, which is considered like the extreme of it.
I think it's not. I think that's a word.
It's weird that they have that inconsistency, though.
I think that point is worthwhile because it does feel like it's like Japan's the same. It's like, well, you censor this, but you don't censor this other crazy stuff.
It's really inconsistent.
No, but see, we're going down this insane rabbit hole at the moment, but just to add to it and go further down.
That's the discussion.
Okay, so for me, I was talking to my wife about this last night. I'm like, how insane is it that you can, like, bash a woman and blow her head off and, like, pay her for sex in a game and kill her and get the money back?
Yep.
And, if you inject morphine to give you an advantage. And by the way, like, just so everyone's clear, Disco Elysium, I haven't played the game, but just hearing people talk about it, it handles these themes in a way of saying it's not a positive thing. It's not actually glorifying it. So, like, just to be clear, it's not actually putting it in a positive light anyway. That's then banned. So to me, I get what you're saying, Mike, but I don't feel it. I don't feel like, sex and all these kind of things, the way that we treat it in the more Christian Judea, like, England, Australia, those kind of places, US, the way we handle sex and violence, to me, is the opposite way around. Like, we're way too liberal on, blow someone's head off, that's fine. And then anything intimate is like, oh no, this has got to be banned.
But that's exactly what I mean. So it's our values are so weird.
It's warped.
Sense.
It's very warped.
It's completely warped. Yeah, I mean, and if ultimately all you're trying to achieve is the betterment of society and ensuring that people don't, get influenced by these things, well, look elsewhere as well if you want, because there's way worse things that are actually happening that could influence people in a negative way.
And look, I think the last thing that I'll just say on this one is that. The thing is, they do all this stuff, and then all you have to do is, like, what I have an eShop account for the US.
Yep.
Just jump on the eShop for the US, and then I buy the Final Cut for Disco Elysium.
Off you go,
It makes no difference. So it's all very, very silly and unfortunate, really. All right, well, let's move on to the next story, which is a little Swinny Fest.